You cannot afford to miss a single moment of the next hour. Get ready to have your ideas about sexuality, love, and relationships blown wide open. It's time to get educated, entertained, and enlightened, as well as sexually empowered. You have now tuned into the Tantra Love, Sex, and Intimacy Show. Now, here's your host, Tanja Diamond.
Yes, and that's me, here home live from my living room sofa, which always amuses me, so much different than being in the studio. I hear that today I don't want to be in the studio. Apparently the studio has odor issues. So I'm really happy to have Josh and Sam manning the studio, and me to be sitting here in my nice living room. Technology is a wonderful thing. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Got the nose plugs?
I've got the nose plugs. No, we got the fans going. I opened the doors, and Sam is breathing fresh air now.
That's excellent. We don't want anybody passing out in the middle of this interview.
Right. We're good.
Excellent. And as you know, doing live radio from home always has its exciting parts. So we're not sure what will happen here this evening, but I'm sure it's going to be really authentic, very tantric, so to speak.
Yes.
We are excited to have a fabulous guest on tonight, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you what she does and her website and any other cool things she wants to start off with, and then we are going to get to it. So, hello, fabulous guest.
Thank you. I'm Kayla Daniel, and I'm the naughty nutritionist. And I'm naughty because I outrageously and humorously debunk nutritional myths.
Oh, I love it.
Some of those myths include the idea that fat and cholesterol are bad for us.
Oh, Thank you.
And the truth is Mother Nature gave us fat and cholesterol so that our brains would work and our libidos will work, and we need them to have a lusty and passionate and happy sex life.
Well, that's right up our alley.
Well, I thought so. In fact, we need fat and cholesterol not only for our sexuality, but for love, for relationships, because it's not just the reproductive hormones, it's the mood hormones.
You think these low-fat diets and stuff are contributing to the 61% divorce rate and 40 million sexless couples in the United States?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And also a reason that Viagra sales are at all-time high, and so many other problems, because we need fat to operate correctly physically. That's what Mother Nature gave us.
Right.
And Father Technology came up with all these low-fat ideas and so forth, and we're not meant to run on low-fat diets.
Wow. Okay, so I love this because this is going to really get some people going. I know that I'm on board with you. I have some basic understanding and principles of this, so we're going to look forward to this. So tell me, give us a little background. How did you get into this? What made you decide to become a naughty nutritionist?
That's a wonderful question. Like many people, I got into the health field because I originally was not healthy. And I'd first been on the standard American diet, and I was a great believer in the 4 food groups of ice cream, Hershey bars, Fig Newtons, and Coke. And I discovered those in college, and my health started to go downhill, of course, on the standard American diet. And then when I decided it was time to get healthy, then I was trying all the vegetarian diets and macrobiotic and Ayurvedic and live food and raw, and I just did about everything. And my health really tanked, and I went through my 30s and my early 40s with many health problems, including no energy, little muscle tone, depression, mood swings, a lot of problems. And gradually I found my way back to an omnivorous diet that includes animal products and includes plenty of real fats and real foods. And I do think it's important that the fats we eat be real fats. In other words, the ones Mother Nature gave us, animal fats, butter, things like coconut oil.
What?
We're supposed to eat those?
We are indeed. And we get into trouble when we start accepting Father Technology's inventions and when we start going into packaged, processed, and fast foods, and that includes all those fake butters and margarines and shortenings and, you know, I can't believe it's butter and all of those things. And we're just not designed to run on that kind of fuel.
You're telling me that our bodies are not created to figure out what to do with all these synthetic fake things?
Our bodies don't know what to do. Sometimes they're close enough to fool the body, and the body puts them into, say, cell membranes, and then they don't work properly.
Yeah.
And our brains are more than 60% fat. So what do you think happens if we're either on a bad fat diet or we're on a low-fat diet?
No brain function?
Not too good.
Okay, so you started getting into all this and then decided the world needed to hear about it.
I did, and I work with a lot of clients privately, and when people get back to real food, they start feeling so much better. And, you know, of course, part of it is when people get depressed, they end up on drugs like Prozac, and guess what that does to the libido?
Well, just about everything out there is tanking the libido. You know?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And even Viagra isn't doing anything for anybody's libido. It's just creating erections.
Exactly.
Great. So we have one drug for depression and one drug for erection and one drug to make us go to sleep after we have too long of an erection. But don't eat any fat, please. The brain might need it.
Now I looked a little bit through. You have my favorite thing is this whole soy thing, right?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up because everybody's been sold this bill of goods about soy being a health food. And the truth is more than 70 years of studies have linked soy to malnutrition, digestive distress, thyroid problems, immune system breakdown, reproductive problems, including infertility, including loss of libido, even heart disease and cancer, particularly breast cancer. And despite all this, the soy industry markets soy as a health food.
Yeah, it is a little strange. I know personally that, from working with libido, sexual energy, and all that, I know that a lot of the monks actually use soy to decrease their libido when they're working on their celibacy.
That's
you
cheating.
bet. They discovered that when tofu consumption went up, the naughty behavior went down.
So all those tofu eaters that are listening to us right now, heed and take aware. I know that I have a friend who, when I pointed that out to her, she just laughed at me and said, "Well, that's why I eat it, Tanya." I'm like, "Well, that's great." And she says, "Do you want some soy nuts?" I'm like, "No, stay away from me with those things."
Back off.
Well, it's an excellent food to feed to someone you don't like.
Right. They'll go away. They'll lose their interest.
This is an old wives' tale or anecdotal evidence, but in Japan, the households where they eat the most soy are where the husband's been unfaithful, and the wife gives them extra servings of soy to either decrease the libido or the ability or both.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so ladies, if you have a cheating husband, now's the time to up his soy. You can probably find powdered form that you can slip into his drink. We're not advocating that. That was a joke for those of you that didn't get that. So tell us more. So do you have a book? Do you have websites? Tell us where can we find more about what you're doing?
Sure. The book is The Whole Soy Story, The Dark Side of America's Favorite Health Food. And the best place to get that is on Amazon.com because they have it at a deeply discounted price, so a great price, and they do shipping wherever you live, whether you live in Canada or United States or in some other country, you can get it from Amazon at a great price.
Awesome. All right. And you have a website by the same name, don't you? What's it called?
I do, wholesoystory.com.
Awesome. So if you're listening to it, you can...
I'm on Facebook and Twitter. And love to hear from people.
And I have my Facebook open right now if anybody wants to hop on there and ask any questions. And, okay, so let us talk, since you are debunking myths, let us talk about, I'm sure you probably know about aphrodisiacs then.
Quite a bit, yes. And here's the surprising thing. that in traditional cultures all over the world, which might be called primitive cultures, but these are people who are in tune with Mother Nature's wisdom, they value certain foods as fertility foods, and these are the same foods that are also aphrodisiacs, because the two things go together. Okay. People with healthy libidos are also fertile people, at least, at the younger ages. And I do believe we're meant to be interested in sex, into great old age. But in terms of the younger people of reproductive age, fertility and libido go together. Mm-hmm. And all over the world, Dr. Weston Price discovered that certain foods were very valued, and people in communities would go to great lengths to procure fertility foods for the young couples. And both the woman and the man were given things like caviar and eggs and these other high cholesterol, nutrient-dense foods to help them become pregnant and to have healthy babies. And these things were greatly valued.
And today, what do we do?
And today people are being told to go low-fat. And we have an infertility epidemic.
There's that 40 million sexless couples, too. It's a little bit hard if you're not even doing it.
That's very true.
So, and there's a lot of American women, of course, trying to be healthy if they're trying to get pregnant. So they're doing lots of really long-duration workouts, which we also know is not really good for your body.
That's right. Many women today, of course, are overweight, which is a problem, but underweight and being fashionably thin, that's also a problem, both for the libido and for fertility. Mm-hmm. Some women are just too thin. And, go ahead.
I was going to say, so, basically when we're trying to role model all these models, what we're doing is we're just tanking out our libido, tanking out our fertility, and our energy, right?
All those things, yes. And as we go into midlife as well, it's often good actually to gain a little weight over our thin younger selves. I'm not talking about getting fat, but I am talking about, say, if you were a size 2 when you were 18 or 20, to going up to, say, a size 6 and not trying to stay a size 2 forever. Or if you were a 4, maybe going up to a 6 or an 8. And we find that makes you a lusty and strong old crone, and that level of plumpness, which is certainly not fat. Mm-hmm. It's better for the bones. The bones are stronger, and a little bit of fat means that the body can produce estrogen even when the ovaries retire, because we need our adrenals to produce it, and we need our fat cells to produce it. Mm-hmm. Mother Nature didn't mean for us to just dry up. We will have plenty of hormones for our sexuality, but we got to have a few fat cells there to help us.
Now that is quite interesting, because I am not just plump. I'm definitely got the fat on my body, and I just had the most interesting experience in menopause. Menopause just kind of happened. It's mm-hmm. like a couple of little bit of a rocky, missed period here, missed period there, and then boom, last July, my period went away, hasn't come back, and I can't say that I've really had any symptoms.
And Tanya, that's what we're meant to have.
And my mother struggled for 7 years through all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she was also a low-fat fanatic.
And this is what I see. I have so many clients who think they're doing everything right to go through menopause. They're eating high soy diets, low-fat diets, and some of them are overly thin, not necessarily, but sometimes that's the case. And mm-hmm. they're all having very rocky menopauses.
Wow. And so we just have a lot of just, it's amazing to me to have this kind of education in our society, or this kind of we should be one of the most well-read societies around. We have access to so many things, books, internet, TV, all of this, and yet we're pretty dense. I just find it just amazing the amount of things that we don't know, or that we just are willing to believe anything we read?
Well, we've been marketed to very heavily. and with great sophistication and without a good sense of ethics, you might say. And let me explain a bit why we've all been sold this low-fat, no-cholesterol bill of goods.
Okay.
It has so much to do with making money. And the thing is this, that, for example, if you take milk, if you, say, take whole milk, you've got one product that is very satisfying, that is very filling, that tastes wonderful. But instead we're being told to drink skim milk or no-fat milk. And women who drink that, they think they're doing the right thing, but guess what? Then they have cravings for the missing fat part. So what they're eating then is ice cream. So you've got a couple products there, not one product, whole milk, but you've got two products, the skim milk plus the ice cream.
That's cross-selling.
And it goes right across the board, even things like the soybean. That was first made into vegetable oil, and they had the protein left over, so then they're selling protein shakes and all these other things, so two products instead of one. And then they try to convince us that the egg yolk is evil and we should eat only the egg whites, so they sell people egg whites and they put the egg yolk in other products. So it's all about profit. It's about multiple streams of income from one food.
Well, and then if you add the pharmaceutical company into that by keeping people not very healthy, you add another layer of profit.
Exactly. Many layers of profit.
Sounds like a conspiracy theory. And it is.
And it is. And, of course, people don't really enjoy the low-fat foods, so they had to definitely get together on marketing efforts for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I work with a lot of clients who have been low-fat for so long that they actually can't digest fat anymore.
Wow.
Really?
They think that they shouldn't have fat, but my job is to help them get back healthy enough so that they can digest it again.
How do you help someone get back to a place where they can digest fat?
Well, sometimes it does take time, and on an immediate basis, they're going to need digestive enzymes that focus on fat.
Mm-hmm.
And with that assistance and working on some other parts of the diet, we can gradually restore their health.
So that would scare a lot of people. I mean, my weight issues, I mean, I've stemmed from being normal to anorexia in my early 20s, to normal to overweight, to normal to overweight, to finally just saying, okay, I'm tired of all this stuff, and I basically totally destroying my metabolism from heavy-duty workouts. I was a competitive bodybuilder for years, and from all these crazy diets.
Yeah.
You know, and I was left and destroyed my thyroid, all sorts of things. And I know that I did it to myself. I mean, I can look back now and go, you know, that clearly was a mistake. That clearly was insane. That, you know, that's just out of control. You know, the things that we were saying to do, like living on literally zero fat.
Mm-hmm. And you are not alone. There are so many people who've done the same thing.
Yep. No, I see that. And then the fear, so you must work with people's fears, because I can imagine coming in to the office and saying, okay, so I've got some extra weight on me, and you're going to say, okay, Tanya, so you've been eating this low-fat, all this weird stuff, and we're going to get you off all this stuff, and you're going to actually eat some real animal fat, and I'll be like, excuse me? Do what?
Well, what amazes people is they will often switch to what they think is a diet where they're going to gain more weight, and they actually start to lose weight.
Right, because their bodies are so starved. The bodies are actually in starvation mode.
Mm-hmm.
And until your body knows that it's going to get nutrition and knows that it's going to be okay, it's going to hang on to every single thing.
Yeah. And people who are substantially overweight are also substantially malnourished. And if they're overeating, it's because their body's saying, feed me, because there's nothing nutritious going in.
Yeah. And so this might be, for a lot of the people listening, this could be like a first date with this kind of idea. You know, and they might be going, I just can't fathom how this is supposed to be. What about the raw vegan thing?
I have had a lot of vegans very angry at me. And, of course, they claim that they've got a robust sexuality, and this is not what I'm seeing. And most of the emails I'm getting and reports I'm getting is something else. Mm-hmm. And when people have been vegan for a long period of time, there are many nutritional deficiencies that will show up if they become my client and we do some laboratory testing. They're deficient in just about everything. And many of them are way overly thin, men and women, many health challenges, immune system problems, their sexuality completely tanked. Some of them think that's a good thing. They think it's a sign that they've become enlightened.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Oh, that's right. Only from the upper chakras up. I've transcended my base sexuality.
Mm-hmm. And what I do see is mentally, I see many who are very irritable, carrying a lot of anger. They often don't have a very good focus. Sometimes I'll get a phone call from a friendly vegan who appreciates my message on soy, for example. And then they'll call me back in 5 or 10 minutes because they can't remember if they had told me what they called about.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
And this has happened repeatedly. So one thing I do see is that inability to focus, distractibility.
Well, I have to say that when I did the raw vegan thing, which I have to say, I did 80% raw vegan. And 80 with the occasional salmon or piece of chicken or something thrown in there, I felt awesome. But it was 80%.
Mm-hmm.
I've been veg like you. I've done the macrobiotic. I've done this. I've done that. I've done the other. And it was the most interesting thing that my doctor, who's a naturopath, who's been with me for a long time, I'd go in, I'd have my blood work done. He'd say, "Well, it looks like you're on you're in your healthy phase right now. Your skin looks good. I have psoriasis. Your skin looks good. You're looking good." And I'd say, "Yeah, well, right now I'm eating burgers."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it never ceased to amaze me that when I ate quote unquote healthy, my psoriasis were worse.
Yeah.
That when I ate quote unquote non-healthy, they were better. But when I ate raw vegan with the added fat, and I'd have flaxseed in my stuff, but that was when they were the best.
Yeah. Well, the raw vegans, there's some things they are very knowledgeable about. One thing is they do understand that soy is a huge problem.
Right. I never did soy.
So very smart about that part. Many of the raw vegans also understand that if they're eating nuts and seeds, that they do need to soak and sprout those.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're a vegan or whether you're an omnivore, those things should be properly prepared the way traditional people did, and that would involve things like soaking and fermenting and traditional preparation techniques.
Mm-hmm. So we've lost that art form today.
Yes, many people have. Maybe our grandparents or our great-grandparents did that. And if we incorporate those things again, that helps our health a great deal. And a lot of it's not more difficult. It's just a matter of a habit. For example, if we want oatmeal for breakfast, we need to prepare it the way our grandparents might have, which would be to take the oats the night before and soak it in some water with a little salt and a little whey. And then in the next morning, it will cook up that much faster, so that's good in the morning. Mm-hmm. And it will be much more digestible and delicious.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So it doesn't take more time, but there is that habit, and there is the matter of the night before saying, what do I want for breakfast? Is it going to be an eggs and bacon morning, or is it going to be an oatmeal morning?
Right.
And if it's oatmeal, you soak those oats and you go to bed.
Did you say bacon?
Bacon, I love bacon.
Oh, my God. Did you, and so you're advocating we can eat bacon?
Yes, I do recommend getting from free-range and healthy pigs. I do not endorse factory farming, cruel to animals and unhealthy products.
Right, I'm with you there for sure.
But the nitrate-free bacon from the health food stores, absolutely delicious. And
wow.
You know what? People who eat that, they have fewer sugar cravings, fewer carb cravings. Bacon just makes people happy.
Bacon makes people happy.
I like that. There is something, I totally was with you when you were talking about how if you have all this deprivation, like you're drinking non-skim, or skim milk, and you're not eating that, and you're not eating this, how the cravings are just crazy, and generally you end up eating more food.
Yeah,
because you'll give in.
Exactly, and you know what? Nobody starts binging on things like eggs and steak.
Right.
They satisfy, and then people don't binge. And with things like bacon, I'm thinking of doing an experiment to see how much I can eat and just continue love eating it. Somebody nicknamed me the Bacon Babe.
Right, we'll send you a bacon bouquet.
And my man's the Lard Lord.
Nice.
The Lord and the bacon. So give us your typical day of eating?
I will usually start out my day with a couple of free-range eggs, very rich yolks, very orange, very beautiful, and a few pieces of bacon. And it's possible that I'll have some organic coffee with some raw cream in it. For lunch, I might have something like a homemade soup that would have some meat in it, possibly some beans and some vegetables. Very rich and tasty, and with a genuine old-fashioned bone broth such as grandmother used to make. And for dinner, some kind of meat and vegetables. I tend to focus on meat and vegetables.
So we're not hearing a lot of carbs going on here.
Not a lot of carbs except for veg carbs. Not a lot of grains.
Right, not a lot of grains, or definitely not a lot of bread, pasta.
Yeah, I don't do much of those. I don't do well with it. Occasionally some genuine sourdough bread, which I use as a vehicle for a lot of butter.
I like it. That's kind of like the Italians find many, many ways to consume raw olive oil.
Curious. Okay, and so all your lab work is good and all of that, your weight is good?
Yeah, my weight's good, and you've seen my recent pictures on Facebook.
Yeah. Do you have to work out like a fanatic?
I don't work out like a fanatic. I do enjoy dancing.
Yeah.
And working on those Latin hip actions.
Nice. Nice.
Well done.
Good libido.
Good libido.
Awesome. Did you have any libido dipping at any age?
Well, when I was in my 30s and I was so unhealthy, everything was on off. My moods, my brain power, my ambition, my energy, and my libido. I mean, nothing was working that well.
Yeah. Well, and that's a huge. I mean, the is it the Bergman sister, whoever Oprah's got late as her sex people lately, the Laura and the two doctors, they're sisters.
Yeah.
And they're all about, now the new things, low libido, women's low libido disorder, low arousal disorder, low this arousal, and it's crazy that, first of all, yes, obviously what we eat is going to impact everything because it creates our hormones or it drives our body, and then there's the whole thing of, hey, what about there's just not very many good lovers out there, too?
Well, that's certainly true. And I want to say a couple things about what you just mentioned about all these newly diagnosed disorders, low libido disorder or whatever. All you have to do is pick up an anatomy and physiology book and look at a chart on how hormones are produced. And there's something they call the steroid tree. And the roots of this tree is, guess what? Cholesterol, which we've all been taught is evil. That is the root of the tree. And then the branches of the tree are estrogen and testosterone and progesterone and then all these other hormones. And without cholesterol, it is very hard for the body to make these things.
And yes, I've also was talking to somebody the other day. They were saying how, they have to take all these cholesterol drugs because their cholesterol is too high. And I said to them, what if the fact is that your body's so unhealthy that it's laying down cholesterol, trying to protect your veins from being eaten through by your blood that's so toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I'm sure might have heard that theory as well.
Well, what does happen when, say, somebody becomes a vegan and their cholesterol drops way down? The question is, where did the cholesterol go? And I can tell you where it goes. It's not in the bloodstream where it's being measured. It's in the cell membranes because it's desperately keeping that person alive because their cell membranes don't have anything to make them sufficiently stiff and making them work properly.
Uh-huh.
Because if all anybody's getting are things like soy oil and polyunsaturated vegetable oils, the cell membranes will be flappy and they'll be flaccid. They're not going to,
right.
They're not going to be standing up. And
what else is going to be standing
people
up?
Are putting in things like hydrogenated fats, the things will be too stiff. And you need a certain level of structure plus flexibility so nutrients can get in the cell and toxins can get out. So when somebody's cholesterol goes low, it does not mean that their cholesterol isn't in there somewhere. It means the body is propping up their cells.
Sounds like we've got a lot of... So, this would make sense. We know more, right? We're getting more sophisticated about health and nutrition, and yet people are more unhealthy than they've ever been.
That's what I'm seeing. And look at the children growing up. They are so unhealthy. And this generation of children, they're probably going to die before their parents.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing recently. I watched some show of this guy who's trying to bring some crazy guy that's trying to go around and create health in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the United States, and he was supposedly in one city where they're saying the kids will die before their parents.
Yeah.
They're that unhealthy already.
And it's very, very sad.
Well, go ahead.
And with the infertility epidemic, it will soon be 1 in 3 couples. I mean, it's huge.
Well, and I was also reading that fertility-wise, men, college-age men, have had a 20-30% decrease in sperm mobility as well, motility?
That's right, and some of them are just blaming women for being too aggressive sexually.
Oh, interesting.
But, when I was back in college, there weren't any guys who were bothered by that. They were taking advantage of it.
Are the sperm? They're saying the sperm are afraid, so they're not mobilizing as aggressively. I mean,
right, something like that.
We're scared. We don't want to go there.
The sperm are afraid. We're afraid. No.
Okay.
That's really funny. We're going to take, Sam, if you're listening, we're going to take a few-minute break here. And we'll be back to talk with our naughty nutritionist.
Excellent.
And learn more about how we're being fooled from the food industry, and maybe everything we read is not true. So we'll be back in just a minute.
I'm too sexy for your party, too sexy for your party. The way I'm disco dancing, I'm a model, you know what I mean, and I do my little turn on the catwalk, yeah, on the catwalk, yeah, I do my little turn on the catwalk.
Are you one of the 40 million sexless couples in the U.S.? Are you wondering why having sex leaves you feeling lonely? Are you suffering from the myths of sexual dysfunction? Do you know in your heart that there has to be more than what you're currently getting out of making love? To rid yourself of sexual ignorance, get more out of your lovemaking, and find out more about spiritual sexual connection, then you need to check out www.thetantrateacher.com to receive your free copy of the ebook called Secrets of the Tantra Teacher. Don't suffer another minute without the sexual loving and ecstatic bliss you were born to receive. Get to www.thetantrateacher.com right now. That's www.thetantrateacher.com.
Is your sex life non-existent? Do sexual dysfunctions leave you soft? Is internet porn getting more than you are? Or are you paying more attention to porn than your partner? Have you tried talk therapy and it got you nowhere? You are not alone. You can be freed from sexual shame, guilt, and dissatisfaction. A visit to the Tantra teacher is in order. Call now and mention you heard the Tantra teacher on the radio and get a very special offer. Stop waiting for a miracle and call right now. 206-276-2735. Phone consultations or in person will get you the information you need to be successful in your love life. But you have to call now. 206-276-2735. Stop making excuses. Call the Tantra teacher. 206-276-2735.
Did you know that you can rate this show on iTunes? The show you're listening to right now. It's true. You can leave your thoughts about the show, the topic, the guest. You can even leave a suggestion. Then, before you leave, rate the show. The hosts love hearing from you, so next time you download this show from iTunes, leave your thoughts and rate the show for the host and for others. Now is your chance to be part of the show. Call 877-230-3062. Call in with your questions or thoughts and talk with the host and their guest. Again, that number is 877-230-3062.
And I'm definitely too sexy for that tofu. You know, I always knew tofu was a bad thing. People are always like, here, Tanya, eat the tofu. I'm like, no, it's like drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
No, thank
My
you.
body was just saying, absolutely do not go there. Danger, danger. We are talking to Kayla Daniels, who is the naughty nutritionist, and is regaling us with wonderment of eating bacon and eating eggs and doing all sorts of crazy omnivore things to increase our fertility and libido and make our brains function and make us feel much happier. Wow. Well, you know what? My fiance is up on this because he's always liked women that were a little bit more padded, and he said they were always more interesting sexually. So he might have known something there.
Right.
Might have had that understanding that if their hormones were actually working, they might be more interested.
Mm-hmm.
So you were saying something. Tell the listeners about that book about Eat More, Lose the Fat book.
There's two wonderful books that talk about a proper traditional diet, the kind that keeps us healthy, that Mother Nature designed for us to eat and to keep our hormones all revved up. And the two books are Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon, and the second one is called Eat Fat, Lose Fat by Sally Fallon and also by Dr. Mary Enig, E-N-I-G. And Eat Fat, Lose Fat sounds like a diet book, but that's the publisher's title, and the fact is it's right for people whose weight is perfect or whether they're underweight or overweight, because when people get healthy on this kind of diet, their weight does tend to normalize.
Okay. So we have been listening to you talk about the fact that, you know, we're in a fertility epidemic. I mean, I know for a fact that people are having lots of problems with their libido, low arousal, low interest. We see more and more things coming out about men who just aren't interested in sex anymore. And it seems like, yeah, there's an epidemic of health and fertility and interest, and apparently we're in trouble. And what you're telling us is that we got to throw out the soy, we've got to throw out the chemical-based substitutes, and we need to eat food.
Real food like our ancestors would eat, things like butter and animal fat, lard and tallow, eggs and lots of eggs, and caviar when we can get it. I mean, Catherine the Great, now there was a powerful woman with a big libido, and guess what her favorite food was? Caviar omelet.
There you
go. That woman knew how to eat.
Wow.
Well, there's something about living in an abundance mentality versus a scarcity mentality anyway, right?
I think so.
You know, and if we are depriving ourselves of the very nutrition that our bodies need to sustain themselves, we're going to be cranky. We're going to be unhappy. We're going to be irritable. We're going to be all sorts of things because our bodies are telling us, hey, hello, excuse me, you're killing me here.
That's exactly right.
So, and you're saying menopause doesn't have to be a huge deal?
It wasn't for me, and I'm almost 60 now, and I feel really, really good.
With a libido. See?
With
Listen
a libido.
to that, people. I'm so tired of hearing from women that are over 45 or 50 saying, oh, that was for me when I was young.
Yeah, and I don't buy that at all. When we go through menopause and in a healthy way, we come through with a splendid libido.
I think we should. I think we do, and we think we should keep going.
Yeah, and I think there's some differences, though. I think that's when we come into our own power as women, and we're more likely to be able to speak up for what we want sexually.
Right.
And we're not just going crazy every full moon with the need to ovulate and become pregnant, which is nature's imperative when we're younger.
I was about to say, so when we're young, our imperative is procreation, it's sex, and when we're older, our imperative is pleasure.
Yeah, Mother Nature didn't leave us high and dry, so to speak. Mother Nature left us with a wonderful ability to produce all the hormones we need for the libido, but we need to have nourished adrenal glands, and we need to have a few extra fat cells. In other words, not being overly thin with no fat. We need a little fat there.
So now what's going on with estrogen dominance?
There are so many reasons that women today are estrogen dominant, and they would include environmental estrogens, pharmaceutical estrogens, the kinds of estrogens we would find in factory farm meat. There can be a problem with the plant estrogens in soy foods. I often see estrogen dominance in vegetarian clients that I work with because they've been using soy as both meat and dairy replacement. And the myth is that these plant estrogens are perfectly fine for us, but it doesn't always work out that way. But I would never say it's just soy, though, because there's estrogens in the water supply. There's estrogens in plastics. There's estrogens in pesticides. It's a real problem.
Right. And what does estrogen dominance cause? What happens when we are estrogen dominant?
It can cause all sorts of reproductive problems and menopausal problems.
Okay. The very thing that we're seeing.
Yes.
Okay. And doctors just really aren't addressing this.
I don't think they're addressing it adequately. And if they're addressing it at all, it's often a pharmaceutical way of addressing it. Say, rather than work on the things we need to do to get the estrogen down, it's prescribing a whole lot of progesterone in an attempt to balance things out. And I think we need to look at root causes.
Well, it is interesting that, it very rarely, unless you go to a naturopath, does your doctor talk about diet.
Mm-hmm.
I'd had psoriasis most of my life since I was 10. When I found the right combination of whole foods with good fat as well, my psoriasis went away. And when I went to my doctor and said, hey, check this out, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm eating, you might want to suggest that, he goes, well, it's anecdotal. And I'm like, yeah, except you're looking at me here, psoriasis-free for 2 years, and telling me it's anecdotal. Why can't you pass that along?
I would say get people on the right fats and get some of the heavy metals out of them, and things like psoriasis go away.
It's a crazy thing. They tell you. Now, I've cured 3 incurable illnesses as well. And I do believe that all of these things were very much related to not only my way of thinking, because I do feel that we're kind of accountable in that way, my way of thinking and how I was living, but also, some of these crazy things that I was doing to my body. Like what happens to your body when you work out excessively?
Mm-hmm.
You mess up your hormones, right? Because our body wasn't necessarily designed to go on a 2-hour workout.
I think you're right about that. And I think the closer we can get to traditional forms of staying fit, like a lot of walking, the better.
Right. We have recently been, I was like I said, I was a competitive bodybuilder for numerous years, a personal trainer, all of that stuff, and used to just destroy my body with all sorts of things. We're now into the Tabata protocol, and that's the TABATA protocol, which is the 12-minute, 3-day-a-week workout that rocks. And if you read Dr. Al Sears, you know Al Sears, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So reading Dr. Al Sears about this particular PACE, he does a program called PACE. I'm totally on board with that. I think it's the most amazing thing. And he talks about how excessive workout destroys our human growth hormone and does all of these things. So all this stuff we've been doing to try to lose fat, eating low fat, working out for hours, all of it is wrong.
Yeah. I had one client who called me, and he was a fitness buff, and he was just a maniac about working out. And he called me because he wanted to get his body fat down from where it was around 12% down to, I think he wanted 8% or something.
Yeah, right.
And his history included he had major psoriasis problems, he had depression problems, he had a whole long list of problems. And I said, we've got to work on your health first.
Right, and he's thinking he's healthy because he's got low body fat and he's working out like a fanatic.
Yeah.
Right, and he wants to be thinner, to seem more
and
ripped.
He was already more than thin enough. That was the least of his problems.
Right, exactly. So if you're listening up, we've got thousands and thousands of listeners all over the world listening. I'm here, I'm telling you. Now, don't go look at my picture and say, I don't know what I'm talking about because I look fat to you, okay? That's just you got to understand. You check it out for yourself, but between what we've got Kayla Daniels talking to us today about eating in a different way than what you're thinking, and I'm telling you, go out and check out Dr. Al Sears, the PACE program, or the Tabata protocol. Change the way you're working out, change the way you're eating, change your libido, your fertility issues, and all the rest of this stuff. You'll be emailing us and saying, I can't believe it, the difference that this has made in my life. And I know that you very much feel that way, Kayla, right?
I do. And you know, Dr. Sears is controversial, and, you know, most of the good information is going to be from people who are, quote-unquote, controversial.
Well, you know, people, that's me, right? I'm starting a revolution here, actually including sexuality in life coaching. How weird is that?
It's wonderful.
I appreciate that you say that. I have had so many life coaches recently say, I don't talk to my clients about sex. I'm like, what, life and sex, two things that are not together, or what? How do you do that? But you take private clients, right?
I do.
And how can people get a hold of you?
My email address is Kayla, Kaayla, at Dr. Dr. Kayla Daniel, DANIEL.com.
Daniel, not Daniels.
That's
Daniel.
Right.
Okay.
Or through my website, wholesoystory.com.
Okay.
And you can join the Naughty Nutritionist fan club on Facebook and send me a message through there.
Excellent.
So lots of ways to reach me, and I do respond when people write me a message. I love to hear from people.
Awesome. So we can get help there. You're doing phone coaching, I'm presuming, as well, right? Yeah.
I do. I work with clients all over the world, actually.
Excellent. So if you don't know where to start, you're hearing this and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, clearly I'm a mess. Everything's falling apart and I don't know where to start. You want to get to Kayla Daniel and you want to find out how to get started on this process of getting healthy and, you know, kind of stop the madness of what we're doing. And I know it sounds controversial. I know you're thinking, oh, my God, one more new plan, one more new whatever. But this doesn't sound like a diet. This sounds like actually eating nutrition.
This is pleasurable.
Oh, what? Eating for pleasure?
Eating for pleasure.
Are you crazy?
Food and sex belong together. They're both for pleasure.
Right, there we go.
I'm a strong proponent of that. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Josh raises his hand for that one. Thank you very much. Food and pleasure.
Food,
and
pleasure, sex, in the same conversation or in the same bed or, you know, wherever. I'm good. I'm good.
It's all working. And if you're eating for pleasure, maybe your sex life is going to be better because you've got the right hormones to actually have a libido again. And wouldn't that be an amazing thing? Now, if you're one of those people that, like, absolutely hate sex and you're thinking, I could care less and I'm bothered by my horniness and everything else, we're suggesting soy.
Is there an alternative that's less detrimental?
We're telling you just grab the soy, dig in. Now, never mind the fact that, you know, you're probably going to get some major disease or anything like that, but at least your libido won't bother you. Or
well,
you could,
it's a very good solution for politicians with the zipper problem.
well, there we go.
Yeah, there's
That's
that.
perfect. So Tiger Woods just eating soy is going to help him out.
And it would have been excellent for President Clinton.
There we go.
Yeah, it might have helped him too.
You know? All right. Well, you know, and if you don't want, if you want a different way to handle your libido that's really you think is too high, then you would call me or email me and talk to me about that, because I can tell you and show you how to use your sexual energy for more than just sex. Because quite frankly, if that's all you're using it for, you're really wasting a lot of it. Really,
I would agree with that, and it is a marker of overall health.
Right. We want to be vital. We want to have sexual energy running through our bodies, not just stuck in our genitals, running through our bodies. So we're excited, we're happy, we're living large. I mean, come on, really. Can you imagine? Being turned on is great. You know, being aroused not only in your genitals, but your whole life, in your mouth while you're eating bacon in the morning. We're talking, how great is that? Could you imagine sex and bacon in the morning? Does it get better than that?
It doesn't that I know of.
Just give me a moment. I'm thinking about it.
Max just said add pancakes to that and we're good. All right. Well, thank you very much for speaking with us. I need to jump on here and talk about our book launch really quickly while we've got a few more minutes. I really enjoyed having you as a guest, and I'd love to have you back again at some point and follow up and see if we've got anybody that's made any changes.
I would love to come back. It was great fun, Tanya.
All right. Thanks so much.
Appreciate
it.
Nice meeting you, Kayla. Take care.
Nice meeting you, too.
So I have made Amazon.com history, people.
What?
Yeah, not because my book is a bestseller, but because Amazon.com apparently has never, ever had the technical glitch that they've had on my book launch. Basically, they canceled everybody's orders.
Did they say sorry?
No, they just said, probably won't happen again. We don't even know why it happened. So if you, March 23rd through the 31st, jumped on the book launch, the Beyond Sex Tantra book launch, where you could win a free stay in Hawaii for buying the book and all that, and you jumped on there and you got in there and you put in your stuff and you got your order and they canceled you, we'd like to know about that, please, because Amazon also won't share that information with us. So we have absolutely no way of contacting anybody who tried to get in on this and couldn't. And I am deeply apologetic for that, let me tell you.
And they don't even know who it was?
Oh, or what happened or why.
So they're not fixing it. They're just
There's
saying,
nothing to fix at this point. They
sorry.
won't share the email addresses.
Interesting.
And they're just saying better luck next time.
Interesting.
So I have made history.
Yes.
Not the way I wanted to, but certainly has been an interesting ride. So you have my apology if you were one of the people that jumped in there and said, hey, I want to support Tanya, and I want to get all these free goodies, and I want to buy the book, and I want to do all that, and you went there and they told you it was out of stock, or you bought the book and then they canceled your order and refunded you, whatever. Drop me an email, tell me it happened to you, and I'll make it up to you. So that's the story with the book launch. Crazy, huh?
I'm amazed. I'm thinking about newspapers and lawyers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
When a company with as much resources like that gives you a sorry.
Well, no, it wasn't even a sorry. It was
right.
in fact, I couldn't talk to them because my printer's the seller, so they wouldn't even talk to me in the middle of all the crisis that was happening.
Right.
And everybody likes to do emails these days. They don't actually answer the phone, so it takes 2 or 3 days to get anything done.
Excellent. I think newspaper. I think media.
Yeah.
I think we can get your book a whole new level of PR.
Yeah.
By saying, wow, it's amazing. I didn't know this was possible, but Amazon, and I'm sure you'd get a phone call pretty darn quick.
Yep.
If an executive of Amazon saw their name in the Seattle Times.
Yeah, well, there might be something. That's good publicity for the book. And anyway, so yes, the book is international. You know, we have one of our teammates running around all over Europe right now, taking the book down the Rhine and taking it to castles, and it went to the Porsche dealership. So at least the book is making its international rounds. It has been purchased in 3 different countries already, and actually purchased as well. So it is a great book, Beyond Sex Tantra, A Practical Guide to Extraordinary Living. I say go get it. You can buy it on my website. Hit my website, look under products, buy the book, and enjoy it. And we will be back with you next week talking about, I don't know, some stuff about sex and Tantra and love and intimacy, right?
You think we'll talk about some of that?
I don't know, maybe. Maybe we will.
All right.
You know? And
I'll tune in.
I know. You tune in and I'll tune in. And
right.
maybe we'll, who knows what we'll talk about. All right, thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Hope you learned some stuff. Drop us an email on Facebook or Tanja at learningtantra.com and tell me what you think about what you're hearing. All right, get off your couch. Do something. All right? Everybody take care. Bye.
Take care.
You have been listening to the Tantra Love, Sex, and Intimacy Show with your host, Tanja Diamond. Visit our website at www.tanjadiamond.com. That's TANJA for more information on workshops and classes.